Little bit of my flute playing there at the intro. Hope you enjoyed that. This is Thunder Hands, or my friends call me Thunder. And right away I want to mention on every video, Campfire Council, and we'll talk about that later. But what I want to talk about right now, if I can get this chord here, is deception. And another way to say deception, or another definition of deception, is the lie. And so we'll talk about those things in different contexts. So first of all, let's just get it out of the way right now and say that everybody here has at one time lied. And if they say to me right now that they never lied, this is probably their second lie. Because whether it's a little fib, or you look good today, honey, when she really doesn't, or whatever, it's a lie. Okay, so am I going to judge you for that, or judge myself, because we've all done it, and say, you know, it's a word, it's a you know, that can be, there's a lot of definitions for. Now, deception and tricking somebody intentionally, and of course, no. That's not something that is kosher. That's not something that is acceptable. To like lie to a friend to get them to do something, manipulation, lie to cover up the truth of something that could hurt or harm others in a big way. I'm talking about, you know, mass deception, that type of thing. The stuff that's going on right now in the world, there's a lot of mass deception. And you just have to, you know, detach from it and look at it as, in a landscape type fashion, the lay of the land, and contemplate upon it, and come to your own conclusions about the deceptions that are happening today. And right now, this thing over in Russia, this I don't even know what's going on with it today, because I don't stay on top of things that much. All I know is that there's tension over there, and it's, you know, a lot of tension, okay? But involved in that whole thing, or anything, any war, any intervention, anytime we get, you know, in some kind of like psychological conflict, or verbal conflict, or real conflict with any kind of nation, it's because somebody crossed some kind of line somewhere and deceived somebody, and is deceiving somebody. Now there's all kinds of theories going around, you know, about who deceived who, and I have a theory which I have said before, destabilization of nations. Kind of obvious. For what reason? I don't know what the end game is. And I don't know that one player that looks like a bad guy and one player that looks like a good guy is just the opposite, and they planned this out. They lied. They deceived. Okay. So that's what's going on. That's kind of like, Psychological Operations 101 or Black Ops Psychological Operations 101. Make black look like white and white look like black. And then switch it around and do all kinds of things with it. Get people so confused that they don't know. They have no idea what the plan is. You can only try to guess, or you can only look at the strategies that are being used and try to surmise what's going on. But you have to know a little bit about strategy, otherwise you don't realize that you're being deceived in the first place. Okay? So deception is being used, and it's being used in a big time way by all nations. And you hear all kinds of reasons why. Like yesterday I heard, and I'm just repeating what I heard here, I heard that this could be a deal, Putin just pulled back his troops from the Ukraine and the stock market jumped way up. Oh yay, no more problems. Everything's cool, it's rosy, it's over, situation is over. Let's buy now. Or let's pretend like we're buying. And one guy said, somebody that I watched said, he'll probably come back in a week and just invade, deceive that he's pulling back and just invade the Crimea and the Ukraine, which would cause the stock market to just crash. He could crash our economy. That's what some guy said. Now, you don't know. And other guys are saying, these are supposed experts, are saying that just like that, Russia could crash our economy in some way. Now, I don't know if they can, but if they can, why is the United States threatening sanctions and all this kind of stuff? So all of this stuff that's going on could either be a big Wizard of Oz type game that they're projecting to the public to make it look like they're all fighting, but really they got another agenda and they're distracting you. Okay, that's one thing. Or it's real. Or if they're in collusion, who's to say that somebody's going to push the wrong button or make a mistake, or, ooh, I didn't mean to do that. That's called a black swan event. Okay. Supposedly. This is what I've heard. I really never looked that up. I'm going to have to look it up, but I think that's what it means, a black swan event coming out of nowhere. Just from some insignificant reason. Like the assassination that started World War I. Might not have had anything to do. That might have just been a little flashpoint of stuff that was building up for a long time before that. So that's what I'm saying. It's like something can appear on the horizon, whoa, quickly. Just like, an earthquake can happen real quick. All of a sudden, boom, it's shaking, rattling, and rolling. Believe me, I've been in some in California, okay? It doesn't feel too stable. It's a feeling of helplessness. Okay. So anyway, destabilization on all levels is what they're really trying to do with this deception. Think about it, people. I mean, almost everything that you watch on TV or anything that you come across on the computer, if you let it get to you, it destabilizes you, it imbalances you. And then you got stuff in everyday life that's trying to knock you off course. And you know why this is it's because we're too surrounded with too many things, okay? And these things are like bombarding us. If it's not about our personal well-being, it's about the well-being of the world, or the survival of both of those entities. That's what it is. So there's there's these things constantly coming at us. And that's why I talk about, now I'm going to kind of talk about the Campfire Council, because this is close to my heart. This organization that I got going, that's in the embryonic stages, but it's growing because people are trickling in and they're signing up on the little forms that I put here and there. There's a MailChimp form, that's a free email service or mailing list, and you might see that somewhere, like either down below in the About section in YouTube. I might put a link to it, or I might put it's on my website. You can go and and the website, by the way, is Campfire Council not that, campfire-council.com. That's what it is. Campfire-council.com. And council spelled CONCIL. But the link is down below, so you don't even have to think about that stuff. We're trying to gather some people right now because of what I just talked about, deception and what's going on, and you never know what's going to go on. And you never know when we're going to be reduced to, like they were in that storm Sandy that hit the east coast. What was the name of it, right? Sandy? Anyway. And everybody was left without power and all kinds of stuff. Okay, but if you're already out in a community and you're already in that mode of where you're self-contained, okay, and you have wind power and solar power and maybe some diesel generators, although gasoline will be gone, so that's just a temporary stopgap. But anyway, you're out in this community and it's tribal, and you're almost like the Apaches were. Because if the system breaks down, then there's going to be roving bands of bad guys with guns and knives and all kinds of things, okay? And so that's why we as a community, although we are spiritual, and that's our main thing, we will be well armed and we will have weapons, and we will be trained, just to let people know. And that it'll all be legal and it'll be responsible, and that's not the main part of our thing here. But if we're out there, if we separate ourselves from society or the cities, and then everything comes down and there's, mass looting and rioting and that kind of thing, you have to have your bases covered, okay? But there's going to be other things that we need to cover that are more important than that. That's a stopgap, if somebody comes by a resistance thing, go somewhere else. We're ready for you. But there's going to be other things that are more important, like developing our spiritual senses, which, if developed in a high enough fashion, can just drive people away with your vibe or your chi or your energy. Okay? But not everybody has that, and people have to learn how to get to that point. In this campfire council, okay, is tribal and sacred. What more could you ask for? Tribal and sacred, and you can worship or you can believe in anything you want to believe in. Now we will offer the Native American and Taoist and alternative ways to thinking that aren't religions. Okay. And it's up to you what you want to do. We accept anybody. See, I used to have this thing, I kind of got over it a little, I'll be honest with you, but I used to have this thing that was Christians, or the word Christian or anything like that, turned me off. Religion, Christian. But I was never turned off by the man Yeshua or Jesus or his sayings. I was never turned off. But I have had a picture of Yeshua along with other enlightened masters on my wall for quite some time. It's not about what he said or his philosophy. It's about the people that tried to represent themselves in his name and botched it, period. They just botched it. They didn't live and don't live to this day to the precepts of what Yeshua really taught. Now, I'm not saying, when I say I got over it, I realize, not everybody that calls themselves a Christian does things against what Yeshua taught, and they don't, if they do things they don't mean to. I understand that. We're all like that. But if you're going to call yourself a follower of somebody, I don't care if it's Buddha or Jesus or whoever. It could be Frosty the Snowman, But if you're going to call yourself a follower of a way, then you better know the precepts or the spirit behind what that master or what that person was teaching, and live it. And not only that, but know everything else, or do heavy research inside the Bible, outside the Bible, different sources, the Dead Sea Scrolls, whatever. You better research it thoroughly and know what you're talking about. And you better realize where whatever religious belief, whatever church that you're in, you better know when it was established, who it was established by, what was the agenda, okay? And people don't know this, they just join up. Well, see, that's where that's why I'm asking you to join and be a member of this Campfire Council, because if you want to know about me and what I believe, all you got to do is watch my videos. And I always say, you don't have to believe what I believe. You can have, my videos are just thoughts for consideration and trying to wake people up. And in the Native American spirit, in the Taoist spirit, which I find go together really well, and they're not religions. There's no dogmatic teachings. You got to do this and you got to do that. No. It's not what it's about. It's about love, period, and nature. That's it, really. If you want to boil it down, Taoist thinking and Native American thinking, it's about living in balance with nature and love and compassion and accepting your fellow man and even accepting circumstances in a certain way. Not where people control you. We don't want to be controlled. We want to be free spirits. Now, if you don't want to be a free spirit, then this might not be, your bag, the Campfire Council. If you don't want to be tribal, if you don't want to be a free spirit. There's drawbacks to being a free spirit. People don't like free spirits because they're not free. You got to happen up here first. Got to make a conscious decision. Yes, I want to be free. Yes, I want to relax, have peace of mind, and not have people on my back every 5 minutes. Like the government. Or like life. Let's change our lives so that we have a different attitude. A more relaxed, free spirit, compassionate, loving, but at the same time warrior mentality. And warrior meaning self-protection, or doing anything you need to do to protect oneself. Like, now the Apache people made no bones about this. I mean, when you're living in a pristine canyon where the water's running and it's beautiful and it's paradise, and then a bunch of clunky idiots come in blue uniforms and say, we're going to own this land now and dig it up and turn it into mines. Well, what do you do then? Just say, yeah, okay. Well, basically that's what they're doing to the earth. They took something that was a paradise and they trampled in there in their big boots and blue uniforms and said, okay, we're going to blow up mountains and use high pressured water and pan for gold and leave tailings, and we're going to do all kinds of stuff that destroys the land. That's okay, isn't it? We're trying to get outside that mentality. And that mentality goes right along with deception, because in order for them to do everything that they need to do that makes them think that their agenda will be fulfilled, they need to deceive, lie, murder, torture, destabilize. Do you want to be associated with that, or do you want to even pay taxes or work slave night and day and pay 30% of your income to their agenda, which says we want war, we want to kill people, and we're going to use your money to do it? Really? Did we ever give them permission to do that? Or did they just come in? Let's use an illustration here. I love illustrations. You know that by now, and I'm a storyteller. So on this side, let's look at the screen here. On this side, there's like billions of yellow dots. Okay, billions of little yellow dots, and those are people. Those are the majority of mankind, or the people. Okay, and then on the other side over here, we have some dark green dots or whatever. There's only a few of them, right? These few dark green dots, through deception or whatever, are controlling these billions of yellow dots who go, okay, because they elected these few green dots to do, you know, to kind of look out for the majority of the yellow dots, thinking that these guys over here would be truthful, honest, compassionate, take care of the best interests of the yellow dots, the people. See how this works? And then you give the power to those few green dots, and you follow in mass like lemmings that plunge over a cliff, mindlessly plunge over a cliff, which gets to another topic that we could go on, and I'll probably do a video about ignorance. Not necessarily stupidity, but ignorance, or being ignorant of facts. And then there's people that are just plain stupid, sorry to inform you, but no offense intended. And then there's people that are awake, aware, thinking coherently, enlightened even. And enlightened is way up there on the evolutionary scale of spiritual advancement, shall we say. And the enlightened ones look at, not down, but at the ones that aren't enlightened, or the ones that are still tromping around. And it's like that movie The Matrix, you know, where everybody's controlled and you're just like, okay, well, what can I do? You can't flip a magical switch that's going to make everybody instantly wake up, but you can hope that that switch will get flipped somehow, okay? Because it's like, you can see where it's all going. It's like a freight train coming down the track. So people, we want to get out of the cities. Reminds me of that song, I think it was the Doobie Brothers or something, you know, Life in the City, or We Got to Get Out of the City, or whatever. I don't know why that came into my head, but maybe it's because people realized way back, even in the 60s or 70s, that, hey, maybe they realized more then than they do now. I think so. They immediately detected, they had what they called a BS detector, okay, built in, most of the people. And that's when the native spirit came in strong too, during the 60s and 70s, with the beads and the feathers and all that stuff, which was good. Could have been the ancestral spirits coming back going, hey, you know, we're here, and maybe they're coming back again. Let's hope so, because we're in critical mass right now. And I hate to use that term critical mass, because that, well, maybe it's appropriate because, you know, I mean, it has to do with nuclear energy or whatever, and that's kind of one of the biggest problems we have right now. Man, it's just, it's hard for me to even comprehend some of the stuff that we've been playing around with, that is like playing with landmines. Would you let your kid play with landmines? Would you play with landmines? Yet these people that are running the earth, or running the, they're not running the earth, they just think they are. They're idiots, some of them, they're ignorant. Am I saying there's no light in them somewhere? No, I'm not saying that. There has to be, because we're all part of the Ancient of Ancients, but so anyway, I'll kind of leave it there today. I like doing these things when I'm relaxed, because then I can just speak and truth comes out, you know. I just let it flow through me, you know. That's what we should endeavor to do, even though, you know, deception is out there and lies, and we've all deceived in lives, and we've all done this and that. Our attainment, our goal, should be to try to get by that aspect, to realize it for what it is, and just get to the aspect of compassion and love and that type of thing. So anyway, check out the links below, or the one link to Campfire Council, and I'll put a link on there for a newsletter where you can sign up. Just become a member right now. The plan is eventually, we are a sacred organization. They'd call us a church, or we are a movement or an organization, and it's legal. And it can be even charitable up to $5,000, which I'm not near that mark, or I wish I was. But when we get to the point where we got like, and everything I get, you know, goes to a special little area and is saved for the Campfire Council, because right now the Campfire Council needs to incorporate, and we need about $700 roughly, $680, $700 to incorporate as a 501(c), which is a charitable organization, at which point we can accept all kinds of donations and land, and people can write it off, and there'll be no question about it. And so we might as well work with the system while it's here a little bit, as least as possible, you know, because we don't want to become attached to it in any way, shape, or form, because it's going to fall anyway. So we might as well use it while it's here, and use the same things, the same, you know, the same loopholes, the same legalese, the same rules, laws, and regulations, or whatever. They all have loopholes, and that's what the government uses, and that's what banksters use. Doesn't mean that, you know, it just means we're taking a page out of their playbook and pushing it right back at them momentarily, because pretty soon there won't even be organizations, government organizations, that we even have to think about. That's why we're trying to get out of the cities. So anyway, go to the link below, Campfire Council, click on it, and then it gives our statement of purpose, which is pretty awesome if you read it, and then you can donate towards us becoming a 501(c). Let's do it, people, because as soon as that happens, then we're accepted as a sacred organization. We already are, it's just we have limits, but we're accepted as a sacred organization that can do things to help people with their monetary situation in all kinds of ways, spiritually, monetarily, peace of mind, everything. That's my goal, is to get a group of people that are going to benefit, and also use the organization to benefit others, tribal organizations like Pine Ridge Reservation and the people up in the Four Corners area, and even the homeless. We don't turn away anybody for any reason, okay, that has a good intention towards our efforts. And if you have a good intention towards the efforts of the Campfire Council, don't sit there scratching your head, go, should I do this? No, just do it. Hello? If it feels good, and it does, if you have that gut level feeling that, hey, this is something that's real, this is something that is family, this is something where people will be relying on each other, which they do in emergencies anyway. The ones that have their smarts together help each other. So all's we're doing is getting together before that happens, and trying to formulate a way of living with nature, and formulate a way of living together, and formulate a way of loving and supporting and being tribal, man. Okay? Hello? And everybody likes, that way of living, the Native American and the tribal, and well, if you really like it, do it. Okay? It'll be a renaissance. Look at the Campfire Council as a renaissance of the indigenous people's spirit, and there will be a lot of tribal indigenous people in this organization, and that will be a part of it and supportive to it. And the old ways of thinking are not antiquated. They're way beyond the way people are thinking now. The old ways of thinking are light years spiritually and every other way against the conditions we find ourselves in today. Think about that, okay? Thunder speaks truth, and if I don't for some reason, or if I make a mistake, it isn't intentional. Okay? How many people can you say that about? It's about trust, okay? So I'll leave it there today, and go to the link below. And I keep saying I'm going to go out and I'm going to show my books, and I never do. But I will today. I promise. I'm going to show my 2 books, Emergence and Listen to the Wind, Speak from the Heart, which is an award-winning book. And I'll do that right now. So I'll say adios, hasta luego, see you next time. Later.